Rally sons of Notre Dame, sing her glory and sound her fame. Raise your gold and blue and cheer with voices true, hurrah. For Notre Dame, you hurrah. We will fight in every game. Strong of heart and true to her name. We will never forget her and will cheer her ever loyal to Notre Dame. Oh, wow, this is great. I'm in Dallas, Texas, and you know what tomorrow is? Saturday. It is the playoffs. It's the college football playoff involving a semifinal game between Notre Dame and Clemson. Notre Dame number 3, Clemson number 2. And the winner of that plays the winner between Alabama and Oklahoma. Oh, my goodness, this is great. Cheer, cheer for Notre Dame. Wake up the echoes cheering her name. Send a volley cheer on high. Shake down the thunder from the thunder sky. What though the odds be great or small? Oh, Notre Dame will win overall. While her loyal sons are marching onward to victory. Well, let's hope that's the case Saturday between Notre Dame and Clemson. It's going to be interesting. You know, I'm going to start with reasons why Clemson's going to win this game. Yeah, Clemson's going to win this game. I'm going to start out with that. Then I'm going to go with reasons why Notre Dame is going to win this game, and then we're going to figure out what really is going to happen, all right? Yeah, first of all, Clemson is invincible. Everybody talks about Alabama, but nobody notices that right here in South Carolina, and I say right here in South Carolina because I'm based here in Atlanta, and right down the road you got South Carolina. Clemson is close nearby here in Atlanta, Georgia. They've got a secret dynasty going, folks. They have won 56 of their last 60 games. Let that sink in. Now I know about Alabama. Okay, the great Nick Saban is there. Nick Saban has won the last 5 of his 6 national championships at Alabama. Okay, matter of fact, they beat Clemson in this little run for Alabama for one of those national championships. But guess what? In January 2017, Clemson beat Alabama for a national championship. That's when had Deshaun Watson driving down near the end of the game in a thriller, and he throws a touchdown. Well, you know, instead of me talking about it, this is what it sounded like at the end of that game, January 2017, Clemson against Alabama, Deshaun Watson, the great Deshaun Watson. This is what happened.
Be the final play of the college season, perhaps, if Clemson gets a touchdown to win it. If Bama can hold them out, perhaps a field goal attempt for overtime. Watson, touchdown! Hunter Renfrow. Little man makes another enormous play. 1 second remaining. The slot receiver, former walk-on, in back-to-back championship games has made 2 touchdown receptions against Alabama.
Hold that tiger, hold that tiger, hold that tiger, hold that tiger. Wait, I got carried away there. I'm a Notre Dame guy, but I do like that Clemson song. I just don't want to hear it on Saturday. Okay, they're playing at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium right there. And, the less we hear that song and the more we hear Rally Sons of Notre Dame, the better, okay? But it's a pretty good song. And Clemson is a pretty good team. Actually, Clemson is a pretty great team, which is why it's going to be almost impossible for Notre Dame to beat these guys. I mean, they've got their front 7 is basically one of the best front 7s in the National Football League. I'm already declaring that. They're as good as the National Football League front 7, all right? Now, granted, Dexter Lawrence is out. Okay, Dexter Lawrence, we're going to talk about him a little bit later. He's one of those front seven guys, defensive lineman. He has to have a little problem. So, that gives us a little bit of hope, those of us who are on the Notre Dame side. But what doesn't give us hope is Clemson is in the top 5 in scoring in the nation. They're in the top 5 in rushing, all right? Every single – you got 12 starters on defense. You got 12 starters on offense. Every one of their starters, every one of them, well, except for one, has had playoff experience. And the only one that hasn't had playoff experience is Trevor Lawrence, their hotshot rookie quarterback or freshman quarterback, I guess putting it in college lingo. And all he has done, this freshman quarterback, is thrown 21 touchdown passes and 4 interceptions. He hasn't looked rattled one bit out there, okay? So that's not good. Another reason why Notre Dame loses this game, and Notre Dame's undefeated, Clemson is undefeated too, by the way, is that Notre Dame has had a propensity for ugly losses in prime time on the big stage, all right? And then, it goes back to the last time Notre Dame was undefeated for the regular season. That was 2012. They played Alabama afterward for the national championship, and it was not pretty. Final score, Alabama 42, Notre Dame 14. I was there, down in Orlando, or Miami, I should say, for that one. That wasn't very good. So then 3 years after that, Notre Dame is back on the big stage again, not for a national championship, but playing a very talented Ohio State team so everybody could see kind of how Notre Dame stacked up against one of the elite of the elites. Final score, Notre Dame 28, Ohio State 44. 44-28, Ohio State, not good. And then there was last year. Yeah, we still got a few more days left in 2018. So this is a 2017 season. Notre Dame goes and plays at Miami, bad Miami, not the good Miami of Ohio where I went to school. They're playing at Miami, and Miami was big and bad again and talking a lot of junk. They're trying to bring back the days of the bad boy Miami teams, way back, Warren Sapp and Michael Irvin and all that crowd. Well, they spooked Notre Dame. Yeah, Notre Dame was rattled, 41-8. They lost at Miami. Not good. So, I mean, it just doesn't. And then this Notre Dame team here is a very excellent Notre Dame team. They've got not really a glaring weakness, except if I had to pick one, and it is a weakness, their offensive line. It's very good. But, last year was very great. But they had 2 guys go in the first round of the NFL draft. And the guys that got left have talent, but they're kind of up and down. You don't know what you're going to get. It's just like Forrest Gump's little box of chocolates. Okay? But having them against that vaunted defensive line and linebackers for these guys, that's not that's not good. All right, but there's hope. There's always hope. I mean, even though Notre Dame is a 14-point underdog, there is hope, and there is even hope with that. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. But hey, let's switch to why Notre Dame wins this game. All right, Notre Dame wins this game because I just said it. Trevor Lawrence, he's a freshman, and I know what you're saying. He's not your normal freshman. All right, but this is not your normal Notre Dame team. Back in 2012, when they had that undefeated season, they were led totally by their defense, and it was awesome, okay? Well, you know what? This defense is better than that defense, and it starts with the defensive line. And they got a guy named Jerry Tillery, who's just awesome, baby. And Jerry Tillery, just to tell you how great this guy is, Jerry Tillery, back in September, Notre Dame is playing Stanford along the way to trying to be undefeated. And he ended up with 4 sacks. He was everywhere. He got the game ball. Notre Dame just smashes Stanford 38-17. That was considered one of the early tests of the season, September 29th. And, they were so giddy after the game, Notre Dame. Well, I'm going to go old school here. Notre Dame was so giddy, not. They weren't. They kept everything in perspective. As a matter of fact, this is what Jerry Tillery had to say after the game about that great defensive effort by Notre Dame in general and about what he did in particular.
How much better can this defense get?
Oh, a lot better. We're out of our gaps a lot, and we had some bust on defense and where we weren't doing what we needed to be doing. So it was not a perfect game by any means, but we did enough, and we got the win tonight.
Huge wide receivers. All right, Miles Boykin is 6'4", Chase Claiborne is 6'5", and they are a terror for any set of defensive backs out there. And particularly, listen, keep this quiet, okay? But Clemson has a weakness. Yes. And Notre Dame knows it. Clemson's only weakness, and it's very slight, Clemson's weakness is they give up a lot of big plays. All right? Notre Dame's got a quarterback, Ian Book. All right, this is his first year as a starter, but he's been in some big games. All right, and Ian Book is very accurate, and he can get rid of the ball very quickly, which is what you have to do against Clemson. So if he continues to get rid of the ball very quickly, and you got those big wide receivers and Boykin and Claiborne, you know what I'm saying here. Could be some big plays out there. Yeah. Okay. Here's another way that Notre Dame can win. Dexter Williams. He is awesome also. Dexter Williams is one of the best running backs at breaking big plays. As a matter of fact, back when Notre Dame played at Virginia Tech, all right, kind of 2/3 into the season, the game was close. Notre Dame was leading by a point, and all of a sudden, Dexter Williams gets the ball at the 2-yard line of Notre Dame, and this is what happened.
Williams turns the corner and look out. Dexter Williams in a foot race. Can they run him down? No! 98-yard touchdown.
Watch the right guard come around. Kramer does a nice job of picking up a block. Boykin also kind of on a seal block right here on the linebacker. But also, I think what happens here is as Kramer comes around, makes a pick, Farley's free to be able to help out here, but he overruns it, and that's where Williams ends up cutting back, and there's no one left.
You get that defense so hyped up, so aggressive down there at the goal line after the tackle for loss and the mistake.
Yeah, they're almost playing like a short yardage defense. They're all coming after the line of scrimmage, and there's nobody left.
Oh, I'm pinching myself here. I mean, did I really hear that? Did I really see that was amazing? Every time I hear that, I just get all nervous and excited and giddy and all those kind of emotions. That was wonderful. They're going to need Dexter Williams to do that again. Break a big play. They're going to need their punting and kicking units, Notre Dame, okay? And I'm talking about the coverage teams and everything that's involved, be solid. Their punter and their kicker are awesome. But the coverage team kind of comes and goes, okay? They have got to be on point. And they can be. That's how Notre Dame can be. Here's the other way. Notre Dame can also beat them because their coaching staff is great. Brian Kelly is literally great. And I know that Brian Kelly has had some detractors through the years. But look, the man is tied with Nick Saban. You heard of Nick Saban, right? Just mentioning. For most victories at the Division 1A level or football bowl subdivision, if you prefer, since 2010, they're tied in overall victories. Brian Kelly has won Coach of the Year honors, Home Depot, which is the big award, 3 times now, including this year. He was also named Associated Press Coach of the Year. And his assistant coaches are tremendous. And they're very good at making adjustments at halftime and even during the course of a game. All right? That's why they win. Okay, or at least that's how they win. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, let's go to Clemson in a minute. I mentioned Dexter Lawrence, and you probably heard this in the news, that 3 starters for Clemson were suspended this year because they tested positively for drug testing here, and even their B samples came up positive, including Dexter Lawrence. And Dexter Lawrence is one of the keys, if not the key, to that defensive front. 6'4", 351 pounds. He's going to be sorely missed. Now, granted, they got a whole bunch of other guys besides him, but we're not going to talk about that. We're just talking about right now reasons why Notre Dame wins. Here's another reason why Notre Dame wins. And I was there, okay? October 2015, Notre Dame played at Clemson in a driving rainstorm, and it was ugly. It was the aftermath of a hurricane, okay? And Notre Dame was trailing 21-3 and a half in the second half. And if I weren't covering the game, I would have got in my car and drove back to Atlanta at that point. But I stayed, and good thing I stayed because Notre Dame started coming back. This was a national televised game. This was one of those games where Notre Dame did show up in the big time, but certainly in the second half, somewhat. Because even though they were down 21-3, partly because in the second half, well, they didn't do all that well in the first half, but in the second half, they had 4 turnovers. Somehow, that Notre Dame team was able to overcome those 4 turnovers and start coming back. And the next thing you know, here's Deshaun Kaiser throwing a pass to the corner of the end zone, this driving rainstorm. And remember now, Clemson, they call it Death Valley. They call it that for a reason. It's one of the toughest places in college football to play. It's a night game. It's raining like crazy. You got all these orange people, people who are wearing orange, jumping up and screaming like crazy. That's a very loud place too, that stadium. And they're going to, and here's Notre Dame, 21-3 lead, and they come back, and they got a chance. And here's Deshaun Kaiser right there at the end, throws a touchdown pass, and all of a sudden it's 24-22. Now all Notre Dame needs is a 2-point conversion with about 3, 4, 5 seconds left to tie the game and put in overtime, and they've got the momentum. So with all that momentum going for Notre Dame, you just know that they're going to win the game at that point. But that Clemson team is just about as great as this Clemson team. That Notre Dame team back then was not as good as this Notre Dame team is now, particularly on offense. Yet, that Notre Dame team back then, with all that adversity, the hurricane-type conditions, Death Valley, the orange people, the 21-3 deficit where they had to come back from, or 21-7, whatever the heck it was, and then, on top of all that, survive 4 turnovers in the second half, that Notre Dame team almost won. And now they're playing on a neutral field against Clemson. That's why Notre Dame's going to win this thing. But that being said, that was so depressing. And that was a long drive from Clemson, South Carolina, back to Atlanta, Georgia for me at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning in a driving rainstorm. But you know what? Here's the good news about all this, about that, and about what's to come and what possibly could come. And it goes back to a guy named Digger Phelps. Digger Phelps used to coach Notre Dame basketball for years. And he turned the basketball program into a program that was almost as prolific as the football program traditionally through the years. And Digger Phelps always said that Notre Dame is the most dangerous underdog of all time. And he proved it time and again. All right. Now remember now, Notre Dame against Clemson is a 2-touchdown underdog on Saturday. All right. Digger Phelps' Fighting Irish basketball team were also huge underdogs in January of 1974 when they played the mighty Bill Walton and the UCLA Bruins, who had a record 88-game winning streak. Think about that. 88 games. Nobody will ever do that again. And they're coming to South Bend. Matter of fact, the team that beat them before that 88-game winning streak started, wait for it, the University of Notre Dame. Okay? So here they are again. 88-game winning streak. They're coming to South Bend, Indiana, UCLA. They've got an 11-point lead with 3.5 minutes left to play. And remember now, this is the old days. There were no shot clocks. There were no 3-point plays. So it was impossible for any team to come back from an 11-point deficit against anybody. But this was against Bill Walton and that invincible John Wooden machine. But all of a sudden, Notre Dame kept coming back. They came back. And then they've got the lead 71-70 near the end of the game. And in contrast to what I just played, at that ending of Clemson, this was the ending in South Bend, Indiana in January 1974. UCLA 88-game winning streak against the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. This is what happened.
We'll watch the clock, 17 seconds. Walton knocked away by Shoemate, and he throws it back to Curtis. Curtis shoots. He forced a bad shot. Rebound, Brokaw. 7, 6. They lost it. They lost it out of bounds with 6 seconds remaining in the game. 6 seconds remaining.
Here's the play. Brokaw had it, but couldn't hang on.
Notre Dame 71, UCLA 70 with 6 seconds left. Into Walton. He can't score. Cernovich, Myers, Shoemate. It's all over.
Notre Dame has won the game.
The number 1 ranked UCLA Bruins have been upset by the Irish of Notre Dame. 71-70, the longest winning streak in collegiate sports history has ended where it began 3 years ago.
Unbelievable. Let's look at the last play again. Well, look again. They bring it into Walton. Good position. He turns. He's got the shot, but he did not get the angle on the bank. A second effort by Myers. A third effort. No good. And finally, Shoemate has the ball, and the Irish have the game. What a game.
Notre Dame, number 1 in football, now laying claim, number 1 in basketball.
Oh, I'm getting all wound up just going down memory lane here, you know. And here's the thing. 3 weeks before that, they just said it. 3 weeks before that, Notre Dame in football won the national championship with another upset. That time it was over number 1 ranked Alabama and Bear Bryant in the Sugar Bowl, 24-23. They had a miracle pass there at the end to help them pull it out. But that was just so typical Notre Dame. You know, let's just go backwards here. Okay, let's start from now. Let's just go backwards. I mean, you had the 1993. I was there too. There's a little theme here. 1993. I was there in South Bend, Indiana, when number 1 ranked Florida State and Charlie Ward came to town, and they're playing number 2 ranked Notre Dame, and Notre Dame won. They called it a game of the century. All right, and then in 1988, I was also there too. That was in South Bend, Indiana again. The Miami Hurricanes, you know, the bad Miami, not the one from Ohio, comes in with a 36-game winning streak. All right, they're number 1 against number 3 ranked Notre Dame, and they didn't win. Notre Dame won the game. I could play some highlights from those, but I'm just got too excited. That being said, I got to play a highlight from this one. This is the speaking of the Cotton Bowl. Speaking of the Cotton Bowl and Notre Dame and upset, I mean, that goes hand in hand. Wow, I just thought about that. Because in the 1979 Cotton Bowl, get this, folks, Notre Dame is playing Houston. Houston's got a 22-point lead, 34-12, with 7 minutes to go. Now, the quarterback for the Fighting Irish back then was a guy named Joe Montana. You ever heard of this guy? Joe Montana, you know, he went on, of course you know about that. San Francisco 49ers went into 4 Super Bowls without a loss. 1 year with Kansas City, he turned them from nothing into something in that year that he was there. I mean, he was awesome. It all started at the University of Notre Dame, where he was also awesome. Because in 1977, he took Notre Dame to a national championship. So this is the year after that national championship. So they're playing in the Cotton Bowl, right after that 78 season, and they're down by 22 points, partly because Joe Montana had to go to the locker room because he was suffering from hypothermia. I mean, it was bad. I mean, it was so bad. They had him wrapped in all these warm blankets in the locker room as his team just continually goes further and further into the hole against Houston. They're feeding him chicken soup, everything to try to get him going. I mean, this is a hopeless case. But this is Notre Dame. And remember what Digger Phelps said? So here it is. It is 34-22, Houston. They're leading by 22 points, 7 minutes to go. And out of the locker room, here comes Joe Montana. And then this is what happens. Oh, wait a minute. Before I tell you what happens, let me or listen to what happens. I'll just tell you a little bit. He starts leading them back. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Oh, and then they're down 34 to, we got to do a quick math here. It's 28, all right? Or 34-27 rather. 34-28, sorry about that. 34-28. He's leading them back, and then this is what happened. Here it is.
2 seconds left to play. Clock will start on the snap. Houston 34, Notre Dame 28. Montana going. And it's a touchdown. A touchdown taken at the corner.
Unbelievable finish. Houston on top 34-12, and now it's all tied up 34 apiece. Was it in bounds or not? It was ruled a touchdown. Montana to Chris Haynes. Let's see if we can pick it up. Let's catch a camera angle here. The back goes out of the backfield. Montana on the sidelines, and from our vantage point, we can't tell where the feet. In college football, you only have to have 1 foot in.
Notre Dame has scored the touchdown.
Right here, Lindsey. There's a couple of Houston people just in the camera angle. Haynes caught the football, and here comes the all-important extra point.
It's tied 34-34. Joe Eunice in to attempt. It's up, and it's good. Joe Eunice from Dallas, Texas, kicked the extra point, and the game is over. Notre Dame has won it 35-34.
What a finish, Lindsey. I've never seen anything like it. Notre Dame completely dead, came back in the fourth quarter to win it by 1.
Whoa! That made it 34-34. They kicked the extra point, and they win the game with no time left. Now, actually, you didn't hear that right there on the broadcast, but what happened after the extra point, the first extra point try, which actually there was another one, there was a penalty on Notre Dame, and they had to kick it again. Okay? And he made it again. Miracles. Notre Dame, Cotton Bowl. Hey, did I say tell you they're playing the Cotton Bowl on Saturday? And speaking of the Cotton Bowl, let's kind of stick with that theme there. They're playing back in 1970. Up to this point, Notre Dame had not played in a bowl since 1925, Rose Bowl. Okay? Because the priests who run Notre Dame didn't feel that it was right for the kids to take more time away from their study with a bowl game. But they kind of changed their mind, the priest, in 1970 to allow Notre Dame go against a very powerful Darrell Royals Texas team, University of Texas team, in the Cotton Bowl. And Notre Dame hung tough. They almost beat them. Okay, 21-17. Texas won, though. All right? But they came back again. A rematch. Notre Dame and Texas in the Cotton Bowl the following year in 1971. Oh, I remember this as if it was yesterday. We were sitting there, all the entire family watching this thing here. And Notre Dame not only wins, they crushed them 24-11. And get this. Texas went into that game with a 30-game winning streak. And that was essentially a home game for Texas, right? Because they're playing in Dallas, and that's not that far away from Austin. But Notre Dame won the game. Now, this wasn't the Cotton Bowl, but in 1957, Oklahoma had a 47-game winning streak. Notre Dame won that one, okay? But I'm saving the best for last. Ugh, man, I'm getting chills just thinking about this. Okay. You guys all have heard of the Gipper. You guys have all heard of Knute Rockne, right? If you've not heard of them, let me just tell you who these people were. Knute Rockne essentially invented football. He didn't, but we like to say that. He is the greatest coach of all time because he's got the greatest winning percentage in the history of college football. He coached Notre Dame from 1918 until he was killed tragically in a plane crash in 1931. Okay, he was awesome. Nobody could beat Rockne. But in 1928, he had a really rough season for Rockne. Okay, and the other dominant team of that era was Army. So here was Notre Dame in 1928. They got off to a 4-2 start. They're playing Army at Yankee Stadium. Game was huge, okay? And it should have been bigger, but yeah, like I say, Notre Dame never lost 2 games in the season that early. But this was not your typical Notre Dame team, and Rockne sensed it. So here they are at halftime, and the first half was just really brutal. It was a 0-0 tie at halftime, but it was really, really tough. And Rockne was very, very quiet, walked into the room, and all the kids are dejected, looking down at their shoes, and they got blankets on. It was a cold day. And then Rockne starts telling them the story about this former Notre Dame all-time great running back named George Gipp. George Gipp died of strep throat, okay? But he was a legend even back then. George Gipp, all right? So Rockne starts telling them at halftime this story that George Gipp told him on his dying bed, on George Gipp's dying bed. Rockne was there. Oh, and get this. George Gipp died in the same hospital, St. Joseph Hospital in South Bend, Indiana, that I was born in. Can you imagine that? I don't know what that means, but that's just a little tidbit. And so anyway, so he's dying, and he tells Rockne this story that he wanted Rockne to tell the players during a time when Notre Dame was up against it and everything was just rough and all the odds were against them. The fight song. Fight song says, what though the odds be great or small, all old Notre Dame will win overall. I mean, it comes from the fight song, actually. The fight song was written before Rockne's plea to, or I should say, before the Gippers' plea to Rockne. I just thought about that. Okay. So again, the Gipper told that to Rockne in the early 20s. So here's Rockne in 1928 halftime, Yankee Stadium, 0-0 tie, and he tells them the story that he was told at the dying last breath of George Gipp. Now, there's more to the story to this. The greatest sports movie ever made was called Knute Rockne All-American. And guess who played the Gipper? Yeah, I heard somebody say it. Yeah, Ronald Reagan. That Ronald Reagan, the president. Ronald Reagan. This was before he was president. But Ronald Reagan played the Gipper in this movie, all right? And this movie is tremendous. And not just because I'm a Notre Dame guy. I mean, you need to see this movie. And when you get to that scene near the end where Ronald Reagan is George Gipp and on this dying bed in the St. Joseph Hospital in South Bend, Indiana, oh, man, it's just hard to hold it together. But anyway, this is what Ronald Reagan playing George Gipp said on that dying bed. This is what George Gipp said. This is what the scene sounded like that was later relayed to the players. Here we go.
You're gonna be all right, kid. I haven't got a complaint in the world, Rock. I'm not afraid. What's tough about this? Rock, someday when the team's up against it, breaks are beating the boys, ask them to go in there with all they've got. Win just one for the Gipper. I don't know where I'll be then, but I'll know about it. I'll be happy.
You see where I'm going, folks. You see where I'm going. This is what Notre Dame needs Saturday. This is what they need in the Cotton Bowl. They need that kind of spirit. They need all the ghosts of Notre Dame out there. They need Rockne. They need the Gipper. They need the Four Horsemen. They need all the Heisman Trophy winners, all 7 of them from Notre Dame, dead and alive. They need the ghosts and they need the shadows. They need the Rocket. They need Joe Montana. I hope he's on the sidelines out there. They need all those great coaches like Frank Leahy and Ara Parseghian. Okay, they need those are the ghosts. They need Lou Holtz. He's still alive. Bring Lou Holtz on the sidelines. They need all of these people, and mostly what they need to play a perfect game. They need to play the game of their life. They need to play for the glory of old Notre Dame. And what you listen to right here, listen to this. This is called Notre Dame Hike. This was written back during the time of Newt Rockne. Can't you hear Newt Rockne right now in the locker room? You know, we're going to go inside them. We're going to go outside them. We're going to get them on the run, and we're going to keep them on the run. We're going to fight. That's Notre Dame. And hopefully next week, from more Terence's Take, we'll come with some great stuff and a Notre Dame victory.